Hello, welcome to Invisible Walls on what is the slowest gaming week of the year so far.
It's going to get slower. I think the game's of July.
It's going to go downhill. But yeah, we've cobbled together a show. I think cobbled together is, gaffer tape, some sticky back plastic. Yes, it's wonderful. Joining me on the first segment is Justin Spear.
Hi.
And Daniel Bloodworth.
Hey.
And then we have Patrick Morales joining us, and Chris Wynn is joining us. Yes, it's going to be fun. Anyway, the first game we're going to talk about, because there's not really any other major news this week other than Australia banning games for fun. Animal Crossing New Leaf.
Yeah.
Now,
I'm not sure where you want to start.
I bought this game. Don't fall over. My 3DS died, and I bought a 3DS XL last Saturday, and I bought Animal Crossing.
You saw it lighting up the G-Dex, I guess, and you're like,
yeah.
wow, I gotta get into
well,
this.
no, I mean, I've seen so
playing.
many people tweeting about it and saying how much fun it is, and people are like, this is just brilliant, I'm so sucked in, and I gotta say,
I knew you weren't going to like it.
It feels like a Facebook game. I'm trying my best to like it. I'm going in, for about 45 minutes to an hour, and the only time I've been able to play multiplayer, I mean, I've added people on my friends list, but it was when I came to visit your town.
Right.
And I picked up some fruit, and it was great, and then I went to the stores and bought some stuff, and then I went back to go to the train, and I had a disconnect and lost everything.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. So, yeah, Animal Crossing, I mean, it certainly has a charm and appeal that I could see appealing to certain people, but what the fuck's the deal with it? I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, so I plant fruit in the ground after shaking them, and I've collected lots of shells.
Oh, you just sell that.
Yeah, I've been selling lots and lots and lots of shells.
That's like dirt money, though. Like, you don't get much money out of shells.
Well,
once in a while, you get one that's like worth a couple hundred.
Doing peon labor.
Well, I managed to get it, after you told me how to get the fishing rod, because I kept on waiting for one to pop up in the shop and nothing happened, so I finally got a fishing rod, and I've done some fishing. I've donated lots of things to the museum, and I've got my house, and I've got my development permit. That happened last
good.
night.
Yeah, so you're starting to actually get some growth happening.
Well, I mean, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it, because I haven't been back today, because it was like, yes, your development permit's approved. Come back in 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that throws me with Animal Crossing. I mean, this is obviously the most casual of casual games. But when, I'm playing a game and somebody says, well, it'll take 24 hours to build your house. I'm like, okay, well, where's the speed up option? Oh, so I literally have to come back tomorrow to see if my house has been built. And that to me is a totally alien, way of experiencing games.
And that's what actually in my review, that's like the first thing I brought up is like, this does not play like anything else. Like, this is a game.
It's really a progress game,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like I said. I mean, I make the analogy of a Facebook game, but so I'm gonna issue you a challenge. Why should I keep on playing Animal Crossing, and why should I not just take it in and exchange it for I don't know, something else on the 3DS?
I think right now you're kind of getting a little bit over maybe a hump, but I can't tell you that you're gonna like it, because it's as far as like why this game is so fun. I don't think anyone really like has
nobody knows why it's so fun
to figure out like, how do I explain to people that like working and like doing the same thing over and over and like paying off debt is like super fun and charming.
I think Nintendo knows. Maybe they know.
I mean, because I hate The Sims. I mean, that
well, I would say The Sims has too much pressure compared to this. Like this, like you can do whatever the heck you want. Like you can pick it up for 5 minutes and do a little bit of something. You're not having to manage a freaking piss meter like The Sims does. It's like.
And it's not quite like Farmville where you're like, oops, gotta check on my stuff. Oh no, I mean,
Yeah,
suddenly you'll have weeds pop up, but it's not really a game about. It's not a lot of pressure, and it's not so goal oriented. I mean, there are things you can do and you naturally move forward, but it's more like hang out. You develop your town and kind of. You express yourself in small ways by how you decorate things, how you put things together in your town. It's kind of like,
street passing some of the Japanese players at
style
E3.
Gaming, maybe.
So yeah, street passing some of the Japanese players at E3. Like, I've just seen some like crazy houses. And then like you can actually, later on you'll be able to go to what they call the international island, where you can meet other players. And there you can exchange friend codes and stuff, and like people have gone to like Japanese towns, and like you see like their whole town is crazy. Like they've like put in all of these roads and designed all of this stuff, and that's one of the interesting things too, is because when you talk to your town people, now that you have a permit, they'll start suggesting things that you can build. And so different people have like different random things that they can build. So now that people are actually starting to build things, like towns are getting more and more unique than they ever have in the past.
So the first thing comes to mind is that the game, for somebody who hasn't played an Animal Crossing game before, which I hadn't, it certainly is. It's not exactly friendly with regards to wanting to suck you in. I mean, it does go very slowly. It doesn't really tell you much about what you're supposed to do, other than just go randomly talking to people, or pulling fruit from a tree. And I think that is, especially in this day and age, I think it's interesting to see how people have still, accepted it, where you can do that. So let me ask you.
I think what it's doing, it's dynamically adjusting the difficulty for you. It realizes you're a noob, so it's like, this guy can't handle too much.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Again, it's like your goals are up to you.
I entered my age in it, and that's what it was. It's like, he's 42. No. Let's take it real slow. So let me ask you. All right. So I've been popping in every day, an hour, sometimes 2. If I just don't go into Animal Crossing for the next 3 or 4 days, what can I expect? Because I'm curious now. If I don't play this until next week, do I turn up and will I expect all the fruit to be rotting on the trees, trash everywhere, or is it one of those things that is just like a little world that the clock ticks, but as soon as you turn your back, it just suspends?
It doesn't suspend. In fact, if you forward your clock a long time, you will see the town covered in weeds. And I think they still have roaches, although I haven't stopped playing long enough to see the roaches that pop up in your house. But then it's a lot of it is like event and holiday based. So like just a couple weeks ago, there was like a bug tournament on a Saturday. So you'll see those bulletins pop up telling you like, this thing's going to happen in a couple of days. Get ready for it. I've gotten letters from characters in my town that like their birthday's coming up. Come over to their house and there'll be a cake and a party and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of it is like there's a little bit something different every day. The turnip lady comes on Sunday mornings and you buy turnips and then you sell them back for a profit. It's the stalk market. I
actually did buy turnips on.
Yeah.
I bought them on Sunday and then went to sell them right away. Only got told that I can't sell them on a Sunday.
Oh, right. Yeah, because it's the same price.
Yeah.
So you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
And then, every day there's, a chance of some, random visitor coming by. So there's one that will, like, update your carpets and wallpapers. There's one I found today, like, she wants to travel to another town. So you have to meet up with a friend and, like, take her to the friend's town. Just little things like that happen on a daily basis, kind of randomly. And then, as I said, like, your goals are up to you. It's like, do you want to complete your museum collection? Do you want to, like, design your house? Like, we've got one guy who's built all of the different rooms in the house, but they're all like tiny rooms. Whereas I have an upstairs and a downstairs only, but my upstairs is kind of bigger.
I went in your house. Your house is almost as cluttered as Ryan Stevens' office.
Oh, mine is really organized compared to a lot of people.
Jeez.
Yeah, some people just like literally just like shove everything in there, and you can't get into the other rooms because they block the doorways.
Okay, so I'm going to keep on plugging through with Animal Crossing. I think I'm going to give it another week to 10 days.
Yeah. Try to
See
get
how it goes.
connected with the community. I'm going to make the weirdest comparison ever right now, and I'm going to say that Animal Crossing is like Dark Souls. And
not helping.
and in that you can play this game by yourself, and you can enjoy this game by yourself. But if you're connecting with other people, you're going to get a lot more out of it. You're going to learn a lot more from it.
I know. I mean, I did find that out, and I agree with you. When I went to your town on, was it Tuesday night, I think it was, and you had all this other fruit, so I'm robbing fruit off the trees, and I take that, and I'm planting that in my thing. So I was able to buy some stuff that I didn't have before, like the watering can. So yeah, I can definitely see that. I think one of the things that holds it back, and again, just from my perspective, is Nintendo's crappy ass way of connecting to people. The fact that, and it's not exactly a game where, I can connect to anybody's town and go in and take a big dump everywhere or start vandalizing. That you can't do that. So the fact that you have to have the friend code and you have to, your friends have to be online at the same time as you, seems really restrictive and kind of dated to me.
Yeah, I mean, they've made a lot of progress. Like I said, the international island is something they would have never done before. Yeah, it's still kind of weird. It's, like the whole thing of, it's like, okay, in order for me to even chat, like I can't even chat with you through the 3DS, right?
Yeah.
For me to chat, one of us, we have to be in each other, one of our towns together. And then we both have to click the best friend heart. Like you have to tell somebody, I'm making you my best friend. You have to add me from your side. And then when you go back into your town, then you have to turn on the communicator so that you can see, make yourself available to chat. And then you can chat with people.
Yeah, it's a little bass backwards.
But you couldn't even do any of that stuff before. So in a weird way, it's progress.
So is this the best version of Animal Crossing?
Yes, definitely. And I've reviewed all 4 of them.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I'm going to give it another try, and I think it's something that we can discuss in a couple of weeks when Murderville is, up and running.
Yeah, and we have a depths episode going up sometime where a bunch of us have been playing like nonstop. We're going to be talking about it, so we're recording that later today.
Yeah.
All right, that's good. That's going to be interesting. So, I think that's one I'll watch just to get everybody's different views. But yeah, it's one hell of an interesting concept.
Phew! That's what happens when you mix C4 with a bean burrito.
Okay, next up we have Patrick Morales, who's coming to talk about Deadpool. Daniel's gone off to play Animal Crossing. All right, Deadpool.
Yeah.
The Marvel games.
Yes.
Up and down in quality. Deadpool, the wisecracking assassin, the anti-hero that everybody really has a soft spot for. Hell of a character. The viral marketing for this was great. I mean, they did Comic-Con last year. They've really gone balls out with it. Game came out and it's
Not too good.
yeah.
Some people like it.
I would like to know who.
I've seen one review where I think it was an 8 out of 10.
No.
It's not awful, but there's
It's
the game
pretty
has
bad.
some issues.
No, it's a fighting game with lots of so Deadpool. He uses the swords, he uses guns. I mean, he is a fighting machine. And he's got this wisecracking style. So let's talk first of all about the character of Deadpool.
Sure.
How does that come through in this game? The wisecracking, because I'm hearing that it's kind of you've heard the joke once, you'll then hear it another 300,000 times.
Yeah, I guess for better or worse, it is pretty close to the Deadpool you're used to seeing in comics now. But for a bunch of the hardcore Marvel readers, some would argue that it's the Deadpool that they're not really in favor of. It's written by Daniel Way, who is one of the more recent writers for that franchise. He's a character that's been around forever. Created by Rob Liefeld way back when, and he's
Back in the 90s.
way back in the radical 90s. And he's had a bunch of, different talented people at Marvel attached to his name. But I guess the current iteration of Deadpool you're seeing now kind of harkens more to the modern, like, hey, look at me, I'm so random. Isn't this so funny? Type of humor.
So
which,
is it more like
isn't so cool.
and people will have watched X-Men Origins Wolverine, and you saw Ryan Reynolds doing Wolverine. So is that the Wade we can expect in this game, or is
You mean Deadpool? Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Ryan Reynolds. Well, Wade is his character.
Yes.
So is that the Deadpool we can expect?
Yeah, actually, you know what? Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I thought that Ryan Reynolds was actually good as Wade Wilson when they turned him into the weird kind of...
Stitched his mouth.
Yeah.
Weapon 11.
I refuse to believe that's Deadpool, personally. But I thought that Ryan Reynolds did a good job, but back to the game. I don't think it's really the same, because the way that he's represented in the movie is more of a kind of like a smart alecky guy, whereas in Daniel Way's version, it's more of a chaotic, like, joke spouting, like, meme monster.
He's crazy.
Yeah, he's
He's
cray
got
cray.
voices in his head.
Well, they have the Facebook game Marvel's Avengers Alliance or whatever it's called, and they have Deadpool as a character in that. I've played that on and off, and the Deadpool, the stuff they do there, where it's like the LOLs, and they do have a lot of this YOLO. Like, really, seriously, he will
The
say,
YOLO zeitgeist.
well, no,
Yeah.
you will do something, and he will basically, it's like, oh, I'm a level 48 ranger, I'm powered up. Or he's like, drop a bar on somebody, and it's like, you're blocked from talking. And it seems like it's very much that they want to be right there in the modern moment.
Yeah.
And that kind of loses some of the
Right
charm.
there in the filth.
To be honest, I think Deadpool is kind of shitty. To be honest, like, you can tell that they're, creatively bankrupt when they have Deadpool doing the Gangnam Style, parody on the front of a comic book cover. Like, it's that bad. But, some people would argue that Deadpool's been better in the past, and I believe them. I've just never followed that character personally.
So that must be why you don't like the actual game, because the actual game is without fault, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, let's talk. I mean, the comic book side of me, that particular nerd wanted to know about, how they portrayed Deadpool. So let's talk about the game and the problems that
Yeah.
the game has, because they are legion apparently.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the control system off the bat.
My problem with the game is that if you just strip away everything about the character, take away whatever bias you have about Deadpool, it just the game on its own merit is a really unremarkable, like pretty flawed action adventure.
It feels kind of regressive
Yeah.
even in terms of design. It feels like a really old game with hardly any idea of how to,
Well, Deadpool's
Yeah.
Deadpool's all about the combat. I mean, yes, he is the smart Alec, but I mean, he's got the swords. He can slice and dice, and he can move so well in the comic books, and he's very athletic. So, I mean, how does that pan out? I mean, we've seen games like, the Batman games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, where they have turned the combat into this ballet, if you will. And that's how I would envisage Deadpool operating.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics, he's a very accomplished mercenary. He uses katanas, swords, sais, guns, kind of interconnected. Like he was like the original Dante, I guess you could say, just because he kind of had this weird menagerie of tools at his disposal. And you do get that in the game. You are able to kind of wield these various weapons as you will. But the difference is that the mechanics are so clunky and unresponsive, and they just feel like they lack impact overall, that it doesn't amount to a really enjoyable experience. The enemies are really simplistic. All the bosses kind of fit into the same mold of, I'm going to slash you a couple times and then I'm going to dash away. Rinse, repeat, and they just take way too much damage, so it becomes a slog overall. It's not even fun to take care of the fodder. It becomes a chore.
So, I mean, I just got to ask, why is it that we're still, when the movies for the superhero genre, both DC and Marvel have progressed and have just evolved, why are we still stuck in this era of shitty-ass comic book games?
I think it's because games are a business, Marcus.
Yeah.
Why should you expect anything else?
Movies are a business too, and they seem
you
to
get the
be,
license, minimum, whatever. I feel like maybe what's the developer? High Moon, right?
High Moon.
So these are pretty cool guys, honestly. The Transformers game was like actually really good.
It's really.
I feel like it might be their B team, or like it's just something's holding the game back. I think it could have been better.
So it's the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen team as opposed to the Battle for Cybertron team.
Maybe. I mean, it really does shock me because I have played both Cybertron games, and I think they're super good. I think they're actually better than average.
The Cybertron games are great, but then you had that one in the middle, which was the movie tie-in, which was absolutely atrocious. So, yeah, maybe that is you're right, maybe that is the B team.
They did have like 40 layouts,
right
when the game launched,
whatever factors happen in development, like the game it just feels old. Like they have like these pickups, like you follow, like you're in like an N64 era like platformer ripoff where you're like collecting the breadcrumbs and going through, because the environments are just big, massive spaces, and it's really hard to look at them and say, should I be going here? Should I be going here? And later you get like a teleport ability that lets you go to platforms, because you can't do it with the normal controls. You can't actually normally. They have a little bit of running and jumping, but it just feels so like shortcuts and sloppiness everywhere. The combat is just not fun.
I think that my biggest problem with the game is even though I have a bias against the character, whatever, I don't care. I feel like they had the opportunity to create a weird, unique kind of game just based off of the reality bending, humorous, fourth wall breaking, ability that Deadpool has and that he features so often in the comics. They rarely tap into that for this game, which I feel like is the thing that would have made it the most unique.
They do have some. They have some weird stuff, at least.
They
There's
do have some weird stuff.
A couple of clever moments in there.
There are some parts which do kind of scratch at that, but again, I feel like it's so underutilized that your attention just diverts back to the monotony of what you're doing minute to minute.
So basically, everybody should just go back and play, was it Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is still probably one of the best Marvel games. The first Spider-Man game, the second Spider-Man game were good. And then wait for Lego Avengers.
Yeah, I'm just sad that Marvel is spitting out these games left and right, and then DC's like, ooh, Batman. Done.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, it would seem to me that Marvel would be smart to take the same route that they have done with the movies, where it's like, all right, these are the these are the people we want to work with. This is the plan, because they know what their schedule is, and bring out games not just on the movies. Yeah, I mean, I'm still itching for a great Avengers, great game, a great Captain America, Thor. I mean, The stuff that Sega churned out over the last couple of years has been horrible. The Iron Man, the Iron Man game. All right. Anyway, so yes, Deadpool. Avoid. Wait until the Lego game comes out, because that still looks like the best thing that will happen in the next few years. All right, moving on.
Why is this happening?
All right, we're going to do a different kind of segment now. Marcus is off being lectured by Mr. Rossetti, and what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some games we didn't have a chance to do full reviews for. So,
Not necessarily because we didn't like them.
not because these games are lacking in quality. It's sometimes scheduling things. Sometimes we're not sure if a game should get a full review. So we're going to talk about two things. I think we'll talk about new Super Luigi Brothers U first. It's essentially a DLC pack that's being released as an actual full title. $20 for the digital download, $30 to pick up the copy when it comes out in August, and it's a new. They basically remixed all the levels, thrown Luigi in as a character. He slides more. He has more jump distance. He has a little hang time at the top.
Okay.
So it changes the way the game plays a little bit. Patrick
Bringing
played a little
back,
bit.
Bringing back the Mario 2 flavor.
Yeah, Chris suffered through a lot of it for me. I would say it's
I was
more
really bad.
difficult. More difficult for sure.
Yeah, it's a lot harder. I mean, I wasn't Luigi himself. I was a little the tag-along
they
character,
all have
but
the
they're all
Luigi controls.
they all have the Luigiification, I should say, applied to them. But yeah, I was a little rabbit dude, and it's just sliding around. Like even when I was completely invincible to everything, I was still dying because I'm terrible at platformers. But then add the Luigi slide to everything, you feel like you're on ice on everything. It's just, I was dying and I was embarrassed. But whatever.
There's certainly an adjustment period, and I think it is a matter of the levels are more difficult too. You have 100 seconds to get through the levels, so you need to go a little faster. Anton actually over there, the camera helped me power through some of the game. But Patrick, you played it a little bit, right?
A little bit.
Like, what do you feel like? I mean, obviously they don't do anything new. They don't throw in any new story cutscenes. There's not. The levels are all the same. They're just different versions of those levels. But I mean, what do you feel like? Like if your mom bought you this and for Christmas, you're like, yeah, new game, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you put it in, and it's kind of the same, but it's kind of different.
Well, I mean, okay, if you do get it as a present, do you get the original New Super Mario Brothers, like without the Luigi crap attached to it?
I'd have to imagine so.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure though. I
though,
think it just could be the DLC on the disc.
Okay,
We'll
that'd
check
be a
that.
little weird.
We should flash up a message on the screen. I
Yeah.
feel like we should know that, but again, the disc
But
is
yeah.
not coming out until August. So.
But I guess if you had played the previous game, it is a little interesting to go through it with a different kind of control scheme. Like it's like getting the Dante DLC or rather the Virgil DLC for Devil May Cry. It's essentially the same thing. It kind of knits together, what you've gone through. But I guess going through it again with a different style of manner, and play style adds that extra layer on top. It's whatever.
And the levels themselves are different, and I think it's more challenging. And at first, I was like, it had been a while since I played New Super Mario Brothers U, and to me, those games, they don't feel as good as like Mario World or Mario 3. It doesn't feel quite as tight. You can't kick shells up. I always feel when I'm playing these games that I wish I was playing Super Mario World or something like that. But
The best part is the co-op.
co-op is fun.
Best part.
I don't know about that.
The game grew on me a little bit as I was
Really?
playing it because I'm like,
Okay.
okay, this is actually tuned to be challenging. It's
Yeah.
not quite just like, haha, we're making your controls hard, now go die. There's
Yeah.
some cool stuff you can do. There's some jumps that only Luigi can make with his little float, and you can barely clear these like moais that are flying at you.
Yeah, I guess I'm not so thrilled with just New Super Mario Brothers in general, just because, like you said, I do prefer the old ones if they're going to do the side scrollers. But at the same time, just because it is multiplayer, and the fact that there's like a subtle hint of like sabotage and like diabolical scheming, I think that's what makes it for me. But yeah, I guess this doesn't look like it's super worth it for me if I had to choose and pick it up.
Yeah, I think if we were to review it and just give it like get it or don't get it, this is strictly a game for fans. If you're not already way into New Super Mario, this is not for you. It's going to frustrate you. You're going to feel like the controls are weird. There's no huge changes, but if you're really into it, I think it's a decent level pack. So you just have to figure out for yourself if it's worth your $20.
Sure.
But another game I'd like to talk about is Chronicles of Mystara, and this is it's Capcom arcade collection style thing. It's 2 games, Tower of Doom, Shadow over Mystara. They, you can slap some HD filters on it or whatever. They have some house rules you can unlock. But basically, it's a chance to play these arcade games that didn't, really limited home releases. Unless you owned a Saturn or something, you would not get these games.
A Japanese Saturn, no
Patrick
less.
you and I are kind of way into Capcom beat 'em ups. So.
Super. Yeah, I mean, like all the other Iron Galaxy Capcom ports, this kind of very much falls right in line with what they do. Like you said, they have the filters, but on top of that, they also have those little score progress things on the side that let you kind of do your own little mini achievements, if you want to call it that. And then they do give you the dip switch commands later on if you want to mess with the modifiers a little bit. I remember this one time when we were going through, I think, the Lich boss, and I was playing the dwarf, and I was purposely trying to die because I wanted to move on to another character. Yeah, and I was like, why am I not dying? Like I see my life going up and down. And I guess you found out later on that it was because there was a house rule set up.
There's a vampirism house rule. So when you deal damage, you gain life. And there's another one, for example, like when you get hit, it'll take money out of your treasure that you've collected.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, like you're able to mod the game that way. But in speaking more just about the game itself, for anyone that's, just hearing about this game for the first time, I think it's a really, really good beat 'em up, probably the best one ever made, to be honest, just because not only does it give you a bunch of cool characters to use, but there's a ton of depth behind it. It really does feel like a Dungeons & Dragons campaign because of all the branches you could take, all the decisions you can make. There's a bunch of cool mechanical flourish to it. You could do command moves like fireball motions and then, down, up.
Yeah, everyone's down, up attacks.
Yeah,
the slides.
Yeah, you can do slides, you can do combos.
Power attacks. You can parry,
Yeah, and
there's a lot to it, I think.
There's a lot of cool little nuances.
It's not super
about it.
obvious. Like it would be really easy for someone to get this game and like, I'll play it or play the demo, power through it with the infinite credits and miss like 99% of what makes the game worth playing. Games like this, which are, they're developed for an arcade environment, all the merits don't immediately come through because you can get through just you can totally mash your way through it. There's nothing that's going to stop you. I wish they would have set up an option to maybe unlock more continues as you go along. I mean, I feel like arcade games often kind of get the shaft like this, but there's so much in this game to appreciate, like the secret paths and the cursed swords and moves with certain characters. There's so much to it.
Yeah, for people that don't know what we're talking about, there's this one really cool thing that Justin and I really dig. So in the game, you can either use a warrior, thief, cleric, magic user, whatever. In one of the levels, you find a cursed sword in a treasure chest, and if you have the cleric pick it up a couple times, he'll eventually bless it. And the idea is that clerics can't use bladed weapons, so that's why they can't equip it. But the act of picking it up is blessing it.
It's
so
that holy touch.
Exactly, yeah. So then like the warrior or the elf can pick it up and use it, and it's like a super powerful sword.
I wish Chris would have got the chance to play with this.
I never got to. I've never touched that game, but I was watching you guys play it. It looks really, really cool. I mean, I was big on beat 'em ups when I was growing up, like Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, all that stuff. And yeah, the depth seems crazy. Like it kind of you have like this continuing progress of you have like a character that you're customizing and stuff like that, whereas in Golden Axe you just have a weapon that you just kind of utilize and that's about it.
Yeah, one thing I like about it is that it like beat 'em ups do have the tendency to become monotonous, and they become pretty rote over time.
Like Deadpool, for example.
Exactly. But like what's cool about this is that there are so many layers, and so many gears turning in the background that every playthrough is usually different. If not for the class you're playing, simply because of the path you take.
There are
the
multiple
tactics
paths
you choose.
too. You can choose. Do you want to go by land or do you want to take a raft? So it's a lot of effort and a lot of love put in this game, and the animations and kind of when they simulate the 3D look or the 3D stairs, with the 2D graphics. It's a game that's made with love, and there's a lot of cool stuff in there. But you do kind of have to reach in there and get it. I think you can just play with friends and run through it and just goof around and have a decent time. I mean, I always feel like Capcom they're a little bit of a hard sell, except to the hardest core fans, because their pricing is usually not super low. But if you're into beat 'em ups at all, or you like to delve into a game and find the little secrets, find the little cool stuff, there's a ton of cool stuff in this game.
I would say if you liked playing Castle Crashers, that beat 'em up with those RPG mechanics on the side, you'd like this game. If you are looking forward to Dragon's Crown, very much inspired by this series, you should check it out as well.
Yep. Otherwise,
You're lame.
yeah, I guess sadly.
All right, that's the show for this week. We won't be back next week because it's 4th of July weekend, which means we will all be off firing fireworks and barbecuing and doing whatever else is done in this country on 4th of July. So yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. Ryan Stevens will be back where he rightfully belongs, I hope, unless he's been, clubbified to death in Ibiza. Until then, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.